Today's video is all about creating desire during the selling process. This is the fourth step and the fourth video in the 7-step selling process. The first one was approach the customer. The second was how to exchange information. The third was building value. And today we're going to talk about creating desire. So basically, you've gone through approaching the customer, you've gone through the exchange of information, and you've gone through building desire or building a rapport with the customer. Today, we've got to learn how to create a desire to purchase that item. You could have done everything just right and you feel like the sales process is stagnant and it's not moving forward. Today, we're going to talk about how to tweak it a little bit, how to get that sales process back on track, and how to close out the sale and create desire so your customer will spend money. Before we begin or get too far involved in this, what does it mean to create desire for a customer to buy your product? I know you're thinking that if they walked in your store or went to your online shop, they already have a desire to buy what you're looking for. And that's true to a certain extent. But a lot of times customers, especially luxury buying customers, need to have a little push or need to be persuaded into buying. And creating desire goes a long way into doing that. So let's get started with how do we create desire and nudge that customer toward a buying closure instead of just leaving it flat and they walk away. So the first thing let's talk about in creating desire is using what you know about the customer from the exchange of information that you guys went through during the step 2. If you'll go back to that video, and I'll link it somewhere here, if you go back to that video, we talked about a daughter coming in wanting to buy an anniversary gift for a 50th wedding anniversary between her and her mother and her father. So we're creating desire. We're going to take the information that she gave us throughout that exchange of information to back channel it toward her and solidify the fact that she's picked out the right piece of jewelry or the right article of clothing for that particular anniversary. So we talked about information exchange. It's the 50th anniversary. Her dad doesn't wear jewelry, but her mother does. Her mother likes pearls, but the daughter wanted to get her something a little more special, but in the pearl line. So we talked about an opal, and we talked about that they were softer than regular gemstones, so that they needed to be in a ring or a pendant, not necessarily a bracelet, because a bracelet gets beat up a lot. You're still funneling down to the specifics. Now, what we're going to do here is the customer has stagnated. In other words, you've asked for the sale. You've said, can I wrap it for you? Or will this be cash, check, or credit? And they still seem a little reluctant to buy. So creating desire, where does that fall in line? We're going to take the information the customer gave us and back channel it into her psyche and remind her of it so that she'll be pushed over the edge and buy the product. So we talk about the 50th anniversary and how wonderful this opal ring will look on her mother. We'll talk about the skin tone of mom. We'll talk about how mom will react. We'll talk about how her father will react. We're building an atmosphere of smiles and admiration to the daughter from the parents on this special gift. It is always helpful to validate your customers' ideas and requests and link them to what they want to buy for their parent or for their significant other. You have to build that bridge between what the customer is looking for and how the reaction will be received to that customer when that gift is given. If you're in a small town, this will be a little easier for you because chances are you will know either your customer or a related family member. If you're in a bigger town, you've got to get to know the family members or the person that customer's buying for. So how do we do that? Let's take first scenario 1. You already know a member of the family that the customer's buying for. Let's say you know mom already and it's her anniversary. Or let's say you know the sister to the customer. You can go straight into this opal ring will look very good with the dress of the style of your mother. this necklace will go great with the skin tone of your baby sister. But you have to have that connection. It doesn't work well if you don't know who they're talking about. Another thing you can do, if you don't specifically know that family or know those people that are the potential receivers of the gift, you can ask questions. What is the skin tone of your mom? Does she have a long neck or a short neck? Longer necklaces look better on this type of person than that type of person. But always back up to solidifying that sale with the way the recipient will react to the giver. Remember, you are selling romance. You are selling luxury items. These things are not a toaster. These things are very expensive, and they have to be romanced, and they have to be passionate, and they have to be talked up. In a nutshell, you're basically justifying the customer's emotions and the reactions of the receiver to the customer so that she will know that the desired response will be there because of that piece of jewelry or because of that car or because of that Sweet 16 gift. Heck, even a dozen donuts. You're still selling emotional response. Now, how do you build romance? It's a lot easier in the jewelry industry than it is, say, in the car industry or even in the clothing industry. But you start selling romance as soon as the customer sees that car or that dress or that piece of jewelry. As soon as you pull that piece of jewelry out the showcase, you need to be talking about how beautiful it is and maybe the design of it and the details of it, how the colored stones complement the yellow gold, or how the opal shines and it has got a lot of fire and a lot of colors that sparkle through it, or that diamond, how it just jumps out of the ring and it looks huge compared to the shape of the ring and the design of the ring. It jumps out at you. You have to use very descriptive words. That's why most of your top selling cars are red, because of the emotion that red has with it on a car. Jewelry is the same way and clothing the same way. If you can understand how words associate with emotional response to the item you sell, you're a step ahead. And that is selling romance. You are romancing that customer into a buying decision. As I said before, when you romance the customer, you should leave that customer with the idea that you think that piece of jewelry or that car or that dress is as perfect and as beautiful as they think it is. Remember, if you're not sold on your product or service, how can you sell someone else? You have to talk about the functionality of it, the beauty of it, how much respect they will get when they receive the item or when they wear the item, how people will look at them when they pull up at the coffee shop with that BMW, Bentley, or Genesis, or whatever the case may be. You have to get that customer on board with feelings and emotions toward your product. Another way to build romance and to help create desire is to tell stories about the product you're selling. There used to be an old story all the time about used cars where they said this was owned by a little old lady who only drove it to the hair salon and to church and to supermarket. Well, everybody wanted that particular car because it was 10 years old with 25,000 miles on it. I don't know whether those cars exist anymore, but you're still creating desire and romance by telling a story. Here in the store, we sell a lot of estate jewelry, and you can pick a ring up and tell the story behind it. This was so-and-so's great-grandmother's ring, and she brought it from this part of the world to here. Or this belonged to so-and-so, and she bought it in the Caribbean when she was on a cruise. Stories have emotions built into them, and customers love stories. And it's a wonderful way to sell romance. Romance the story, and the product will sell itself. Another way to create desire is to use what we call value-added statements. So let's say you're selling a BMW, and it could be 740 series. I remember those from years back. So let's say you're selling a BMW. You could say there's only 150 of these cars made. Or you could say the Michelin tires on this car are not factory. They were put on after the car was produced so that it would be a more high performance car. A lot of times in the jewelry industry, we will use value added statements. Things like, did you know it takes 10,000 1-carat diamonds mined to produce 1 2-carat diamond. You're building rarity, you're building significance, you're building desire, because not everybody's got that 2-carat diamond or that BMW. So I want it. And that's where you want that customer to be. Another way to create desire and to move the sales process forward is get that customer saying yes as quickly as you possibly can. Don't you see how the fire from this opal is better than this opal? Yes. Can't you see the way the gold in this band complements that stone better than this stone? Can't you see the way this particular metal washes out the color of this stone, but in this metal, it makes the stone look brighter? Get them saying yes each step of the process, all the way through that sales presentation. And once you get down to the close, if they have started saying yes and kept saying yes to you and handing you a credit card is a lot easier. Luxury items are sold because of consistency. Move that process consistently through and get them to keep saying yes all the way to the end. And therefore that last yes is just continuing on the previous yeses. Beauty and rarity have huge emotional appeal, but they're not the only thing that creates passion and desire in that customer's eyes. A good salesperson will study information exchange in their mind, repeat it over and over, and find a link between beauty and passion, creating that desire and getting that customer to say yes to that sale. If you feel your sales process has stagnated, you have to try a different tact. So to build that passion and create that desire to move that sale forward, you could let them hold that piece of merchandise. Carry it around for a minute while you show them other things. A lot of times, a brand name will trigger a customer's sale. A specific color will trigger that customer to move. A certain size or style will trigger that customer to move forward with a sale. So don't give up. I know the sale stagnated, but you have to create desire. You have to build passion and romance, and let them walk around with the article. Get them used to holding it, wearing it, feeling it, touching it, smelling it, whatever you can do. Let them walk around in your business with it while you show them other products from well-known name brands, from well-known styles and contemporary colors, whatever you can. Let them get comfortable carrying that piece of merchandise around, because it'll be a lot harder to put it down once they get used to using it, wearing it. Used car dealers do this all the time. Remember how they used to say, hey, drive it around the block, or keep it for the weekend, or drive it overnight? They knew there was a 90% closure rate if you kept that car overnight. Okay, guys, that's it. The fourth video in our 7-step selling process, and that video was creating desire. You can do this. Take your time, learn your customer, learn how to deal with objections, resistance, all those types of things. Go back and watch my other videos so you'll understand what we're talking about. Create desire. Move that sales process forward, and I promise you'll close more sales, because luxury items are sold on romance and passion. Believe it or not, money is not the main objective. Getting them to like what you have and want what you've got. My name is Jason Hulon. I've been your host for this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll have a lot more coming your way. Next week, we'll talk about the trial close. And until then, keep selling, guys.